Good evening and happy Mashujaa Day. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast here on KTN News, Kenya's first and only 24-hour news channel. It is the 20th day of October 2016, the first ever Mashujaa Day celebrations to be held outside of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. On the broadcast tonight, we have all the latest news from across the Republic. I am Ben Kitili in Nairobi. KTN Prime begins now, and let's start in the county of Machakos, where President Uhuru Kenyatta has ordered the release of at least 7,000 prisoners whom he termed as petty offenders and whose jail terms were almost coming to an end, so as to create space for serious economic crime offenders to be jailed. At the same time, CORD and Jubilee supremacy wars took center stage when CORD co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka openly told the president that he had handed him all the Wiper defectors to the Jubilee party officially, and that they should wait for their political obituaries to be written. KTN senior political reporter Duncan Heimer begins our broadcast tonight from Machakos.
President Uhuru Kenyatta was here in Machakos Kenyatta Stadium to lead the nation in marking the 7th Mashujaa Day celebrations, which was being commemorated outside the country's seat of power, Nairobi, for the first time. As anticipated, being in the opposition's stronghold, political supremacy wars took center stage as Wiper party leader Kalonzo Musyoka gave a dressing down to his former party members who have since announced their defection to Jubilee party.
Ukianza kupika ugali alafu uache katikati upatie mtu mwingine amalizie, ugali inaungua. Lazima mtu anapatiwa nafasi ya kupika ugali aandalie wananchi, si ndio? Na miaka mitano ni ugali, ingine ni sukuma wiki, ndio wananchi waweze kula. Na sisi tutakuunga mkono ndio tuendelee umalize kazi ambayo umeifanya.
Juzi wenzangu wengine wakahama chama changu, including governor wangu ambaye amekukaribisha hapa, akaingia kwa Jubilee. Au tunakukabidhi hawa ni watu wako. Waambie wasije wakanipatia ultimatums. Wakupatie wewe ultimatum because wao ni Jubilee. Wale walio wengi tukae vile tulivyo.
Kalonzo, who was accompanied by Moses Wetangula, tore into the Jubilee party, which has snatched over 40 elected leaders from the main opposition parties.
Sisi ni mandugu, hatuna uhasama na mtu yeyote. Tunataka kujenga nchi ambayo ina uelewano kamili. Lakini wale ambao wamesaliti imani ya wananchi, Mheshimiwa Rais, don't be surprised if they all go home next year.
If you can unite, my brother, we will then compete at the same level. As things are today, we are at different levels.
Ndugu yangu Mheshimiwa Kalonzo Musyoka, nataka nimwambie wote ni wangu, hata wewe ni wangu.
As the president urged Kenyans to pick their leaders carefully and shun those propagating divisive politics.
We need to be careful whom we celebrate as heroes. Heroes do not use our diversity to divide us. They do not use our different religions to sow intolerance, nor do they use our different ethnicities to excite hatred.
At the same time, he announced the release of at least 7,000 inmates through presidential clemency, but with a reason.
Hawa ni wale tumesema wezi wa kuku na ng'ombe na mambo chache hii kidogo. Na ndio Chief Justice sasa ako na nafasi ya kufunga wale mabonyenye ambao wameiba pesa mingi. Nafasi kwa jela sasa imetoshea. So kwa hivyo afanye haraka, amalize kazi yake. You have space. There's a lot of space now.
CORD leader Raila Odinga did not attend the event, having left for London Thursday evening. It was a national celebration being held in an opposition zone that saw political supremacy wars take center stage, perhaps an indication of the season the country is headed in as the countdown to the 2017 general election kicks off. Duncan Heimer, KTN News in Machakos.
A lot of politics as expected as President Uhuru Kenyatta led Kenyans in celebrating this year's Mashujaa Day. Now, on our big question discussion, we're not asking a yes or no question. We are asking you, who is the hero that you celebrated today? Tell us what you think. Our SMS line, as always, 22155. You can tell that to us on Twitter as well, Ben_Kitili, at KTN News. The hashtag is KTN Prime. Now, prison bosses around the Kenyan capital, the Kenyan nation moved quickly to implement the president's orders to release petty offenders and those whose terms were coming to an end. The Nairobi West Prison this afternoon began the process of releasing those who fall in that category. Some of those set to leave the Nairobi West Prison gave sad tales of languishing in jail for what they considered very petty offenses for lack of bail money.
Yangu kamili ni Jacob Mdoa Runganga. Nilikuwa hapa muda wa 8 months. Na nilikuwa nimefungwa juu ya malicious damage. Yeah, malicious damage to our home property. Nyumba ya mzazi. Yeah.
Kwa majina ni Samuel Karuri. Na nimetoka pande za Ruiru. Ambaye ndipo nilishikiwa huko Ruiru. Na nilishikiwa mbali ya chama. Nilifungwa miaka 5 na kwa hivi Mungu ni mwema kwa sababu ni kutoka 2013 hadi leo nikatolewa remission, ikabakia about 10 months kwa sababu nilikuwa remand, ilianzia kuhesabiwa nikiwa kwa remand, so ikabakia 10 months, na hiyo 10 months ndio nimekuwa nikisapa hapa.
So at the Mashujaa Day celebrations in Machakos, there were the serious speeches and there were the light moments that always characterize national events in this country. Lofty Matambo now regales us with those moments caught on tape today.
Music, the Kenyan accompaniment for each and every major celebration. Everyone trying to put their best foot forward. Funyula MP Paul Otuoma with this granny probably took the day in Busia County. In Machakos County, representatives of the larger population of about 1 million people welcomed visitors from all walks of life from about 6:30 a.m. Entertainment organized by the host, Governor Alfred Mtua, was not a disappointment. Probably this man got a fair share of attention by being the chief soloist in a women's choir. And when President Uhuru Kenyatta arrived, the entertainment was taken to a whole new level. The Machakos Jomo Kenyatta Stadium, estimated to have a capacity of about 15,000 people, could not accommodate the masses who flocked in until past 12 noon. President Uhuru Kenyatta tried at all costs to avoid politics, which was expected in the opposition-called stronghold.
Sio siku ya siasa leo. Siasa itakuwa na wakati wake. Hii ni siku leo ya Wakenya wote, kila mahali walipo.
Ukambani, being one of the 5 regions that have been listed by Red Cross as affected by hunger and drought, has been given a treatment of its kind. President Uhuru Kenyatta emphasized that this was meant to show that devolution is working.
Now, this marks the end of color and celebration, marking the end of the 7th Mashujaa Day under the new constitution. Residents here having high hopes that development will finally come to their doorsteps. Lofty Matambo, KTN News in Machakos County.
Thank you, Lofty, for capturing that for us. Now, during the celebrations of Mashujaa Day today in the county of Busia, the Funyula Member of Parliament, Paul Otuoma, who is eyeing the governorship in next year's general election, openly criticized the governor, Sospita Ojamong, claiming the governor was not doing enough in the county. But the governor calmly told Otuoma to approach him in his office and share ideas instead of staging verbal attacks in public.
Ndugu yangu Ojamong, mimi nakuja hapa kwa county. You are my brother, we campaigned for you, we voted for you. But you have let some of us down. Completely. Tuweke misingi ambayo itasaidia counties. Even when the national government is rotten, let the counties work and be operational. Wacha watu kama ni hospitali zetu zifanye. Kama ni maji watu wapate maji. Because huwezi tu kuwa mtu wewe kiongozi unaongoza watu na wewe ni muoga.
Biashara yetu tufanyie kwa nyumba zetu na maofisi, sio kwa hadhara hivi. Lakini kwa maneno ya kura, mimi nasema Toma, karibu umerudi kwa chama yetu ya ODM, nasema shukrani. Karibu. Na vile unasema 2017 ikifika, mimi ni huyu tu jamaa tunamenyana na wewe pole tu. Hakuna hasara hapo. Na unajua mimi pia ni mwanaume aina gani? Kwa hivyo usiwe na wasiwasi, mimi niko tu hapa. Kwa hivyo wewe ni ndugu yangu, tunakaa pamoja, lakini mimi nasema nikishinda tena nitakutafutia kazi.
Welcome back to KTN Prime here on KTN News. Many thanks for staying with us on the broadcast. Now, a group currently camping outside Parliament here in the capital, Nairobi, claiming to be internally displaced persons, spent their Mashujaa Day out in the hot sun. Among them is a mother who gave birth to a baby girl on Sunday night, right outside the Parliament buildings. Caroline B. brings our story.
As Kenyans came together to celebrate Mashujaa Day, 435-year-old Monica Nyambura Njoroge, her story is different. The space outside the perimeter walls of Parliament building has been her home for 20 days now, together with a group of internal refugees who say they traveled from Uganda. It's the place where she gave birth to her 4-day-old daughter, Margaret Deborah, before assistance from well-wishers came in.
Katika kukaa hapa wiki 3, nimejikuta nikajifungulia hapa siku ya Jumapili usiku wa saa 9. Na baada ya kujifungua, gari ya Red Cross iliitwa na maskari, kasafirishwa hadi Kenyatta. Na mahali pale nikapata mateso, ambapo nilikuwa nataka kunyang'anywa mtoto apelekwe nursery na mimi nifukuzwe nje kwa ajili ya kukosha shilingi 1600, ambapo sikukuwa nazo kwa ajili ya shida niliyo naye.
One cannot help but admire the peaceful look on Margaret's face, innocent and unaware of the turmoil currently facing her mother and her mother's compatriots. She has not taken a bath for 3 days in a row since she moved into the streets. The efforts of a well-wisher to bring her water was not enough. It was too cold to bathe her. Her mother is no different. She last took a bath after her daughter, whom she named after the country's first lady Margaret Kenyatta, was born.
Umekuwa tukipitia wakati mgumu na nikajifungua katika wakati mgumu. Nikakumbuka wakati mmoja katika Biblia kuna jina hilo la Deborah, ambapo alikuwa yeye ni mnabii, na alipotoa unabii Baraka alisema hataenda bila yeye. Na kwa hivyo alipoenda na yeye akasema tutaenda na wewe, lakini ushindi utakuwa mikononi mwa mwanamke. Kwa hivyo nikaona ya kwamba nasi tumepewa mwanamke, kwa hivyo tukaona tutapata ushindi mikononi mwa mtoto kama huyu, maana ni malaika, hajui chochote.
And you know the irony is, she named the baby after the wife of the president. So I hope the president will come and visit her wife's namesake, you know, his wife's namesake rather. Or Margaret Kenyatta, actually, the baby was called after the president's wife. So they are hoping that because they have named the baby after her, she may come. But don't you think it's a very big shame that you can have people come outside Parliament and the government does not respond?
These people, over 100 in number, say they were displaced during the post-election violence in 2007. They instead choose to sleep on the concrete and beg until help arrives. The little they get is shared amongst themselves and at times sacrificing for their children.
Hata maji hakuna, choo hakuna, mahali hata kuokea peke yake hakuna. Vile tunalala tu nje kwa siku hizo zote 16 kufikia sasa. Wajafanyia kitu chochote. Na isipokuwa walikuja wakasema mambo yenu tutashughulikia baada ya wiki 2. Sasa tumengojelea tu. Tukasema sisi hatuwezi kutoka hapa kwa sababu wamekuwa wakitanganya.
Jana usiku ilikuwa saa 7 usiku, kulikuja grupu ya watu kadhaa. Wakaja wakasema tuondoke hapa, twende kwa uwanja mwingine kule. sijui ni wapi walikuwa wanatuambia twende. Ati mtoke hapa mtoke, na kaanza kutupiga. Maana hata kama mama alirushiwa ngumi, maana simu yake ilienda.
For Monica, she is lucky to have received food donations for today, but tomorrow is unknown. All she wants is a roof for her 5th child. Her husband, she says, is too poor to fend for the family and provide an education for their children. Caroline B., KTN News.
Now, even as Kenya celebrated her heroes, there is a place at the border of the counties of Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet where heroes are urgently needed. Pupils of Chebulbul Primary School say while their counterparts in other places are waiting for laptop computers, they would first wish to see decent toilets and some chairs to enable them to learn in dignity. KTN News reporter Elvis Kosgei now reports.
It's a primary school that borders 2 counties. The institution has continued to bear the brunt of political brawls. Here we meet pupils drawn from upper classes who walk back to the neighboring village where they can fetch water meant for administration use. The grim pictures of pupils huddled together with wanting forms which act as desks is just a tip of the iceberg for an institution established in 1982. Pupils are forced to endure the pain of balancing on long wooden planks supported by a huge stone, even as they take up lessons throughout the day. They have improvised stones to act as chairs that cushion them.
Tunakuanga na homa zaidi, watu wanakonjeka, wako na madudu mingi kwa mguu.
Madudu kwa mguu?
Ndivyo. Saa ingine watu wanapata homa kali. Ndio tushughulikiwe shule yetu.
In most classes, due to dust emanating from the floor, the management has adopted the use of sawdust as a short-term measure to avoid infections. A number of toilets do not have doors, while some are covered with loose hanging and spaced wooden pieces that do not provide any privacy for the pupils, both male and female. Our efforts to get an explanation from the headmistress of Chebulbul Primary School bore no fruits. She gave us a cold shoulder, prompting us to contact Keyo South Sub-County Educational Officer Sylvester Ngoe, who says he will order an investigation into the status of the institution before making recommendations. Ngoe, who defended himself, insists that he is new in the area, with the government determined to implement the digital literacy program by distributing laptops across the country. This is a tall order to pupils at Chebulbul Primary School, as 36 candidates are gearing up for the upcoming Kenya Certificate of Primary Education exams. Elvis Kosgei, KTN News, Chebulbul Primary School, Elgeyo Marakwet County.
We do hope those school children will get a shujaa soon. The newly appointed Chief Justice David Maraga has promised to address the backlog of cases in courts as well as the automation of court proceedings in his first public function as Chief Justice. Maraga was challenged by President Uhuru Kenyatta to reform the prison system. KTN News reporter Michelle Ngele takes a look at what else lies in Maraga's in-tray as he seeks to restore confidence in the Kenyan judiciary.
When he appeared before the JSC panel on the 31st of August, the then Court of Appeal judge, David Maraga, was full of promises, pledging to smash judiciary cartels and ensure poor Kenyans have access to justice. 2 days into the job, and his in-tray is overflowing with judicial and administrative duties. Of immediate concern for Justice Maraga, according to legal experts, is to reform the Supreme Court, of which he is president. Judicial insiders say the retirement cases of Justices Kalpana Rawal and Philip Tunoi had divided the court down the middle, with one side led by former Chief Justice Willy Mutunga and consisting of Justices Mohamed Ibrahim and Smokin Wanjala, perceived to be for their colleagues to retire at 70 and not 74 years. On the other hand, were Justices Jackton Ojwang and Njoki Ndung'u, who were viewed as sympathetic to Justices Rawal and Tunoi's plight. Meanwhile, Maraga will have just about 300 days to get the Supreme Court ready for the all-important presidential election petition as the country awaits the 2017 general elections. During his interview with the JSC panel, Maraga said that the Supreme Court should only be dedicated to resolving presidential election disputes, with all other petitions ending at the Court of Appeal.
Isn't the election of a governor or of a member of parliament, let's look at 164B, a matter of general public importance?
I don't think so. My view, Honorable Commissioner, is that it is not the position of the person you are dealing with that should be given primacy in what you are dealing with.
The State of the Judiciary and the Administration of Justice annual report for the year 2014-2015, which was released just before retired Dr. Willy Mutunga left office, shows that at the end of 2015, the total caseload stood at 612,309, a backlog that reflects in the prison system, which has over 48,000 prisoners. Yet the prisons in the country are designed to hold only 12,000 prisoners.
Justice delayed, as we said yesterday, is justice denied. These are 20,000 human beings. These are people who are held. When they appear, the file is lost.
Majority of the remandees in Kenyan prisons are capital offense suspects, either awaiting trials or appeal, with some on the controversial death sentence. According to government records, as of June 2016, there were 2,664 prisoners on death row, including 87 women, all of whom are looking up to the Chief Justice to abolish the death sentence. Michelle Ngele, KTN News, Nairobi.
It's being Thursday, as always, let's now bring you some political analysis on Spotlight 2017. The current political leadership in northeastern Kenya is sitting on the edge as it awaits the verdict of powerful clan elders to determine whether they should seek re-election or go home. Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Aden Duale, says he supports the so-called negotiated democracy approach in nominating leaders to political office. However, Mandera Governor Ali Roba and his Wajir counterpart Ahmed Abdullahi argue that re-election should be based on performance. Patrick Amimo has more.
Last week, members of the Murule clan in Mandera County converged at Moi Stadium in Mandera town to witness the installation of Mohammed Khalif Ali as their sultan. A sultan oversees a council of elders, 22 in number, who make major decisions on the cultural, economic and political welfare of the community. The powerful elders also resolve conflicts. To be appointed sultan, one should be selfless and above reproach.
Lazim iwe mtu ya kubinania haki ile ya haki. Haki ya haki. Haki nini bila kudhulumu ya chote.
Tukiwa na hii institution itatusaidia tuwe na voice moja, tuwe na umoja moja, na hiyo itatupatia nguvu.
With 9 months to the general election, clan elders in northeastern counties of Mandera, Marsabit, Wajir and Garissa are vetting suitable candidates to be elected into political office from county assemblies to the national parliament.
Yale mnaona hapa ni yale mnaita negotiated democracy. Na hiyo ni mila ya Kisomali.
On Sunday, elders in Mandera County converged in Takaba, Mandera West Sub-County, and proposed a fresh lineup of candidates. Amid protests from a section of residents, scores were injured in the chaos. The elders endorsed former Rift Valley Provincial Commissioner Hassan Nur Hassan for governor. Former UDF chairman Hassan Osman was proposed for Senate. The elders also unveiled 4 new MPs and 18 MCS. The new team is set to replace the current political leadership in the county. In August, elders from the Gare clan directed Governor Ali Roba and Senator Bilo Kero not to seek re-election. Kero bowed to pressure, but Governor Roba has defied the elders and says he'll be on the ballot.
My position is very simply, let the fate of my leadership be determined by the voters I served. And I will be extremely contented with whatever the outcome of the voters is going to be.
The concept of rotational leadership has divided the political leadership. Though some argue it encourages unity and internal equity, others are of the view that re-election into political office should be based on performance.
My disagreement is with the principle, that leaders will be rotated regardless of performance on the basis of negotiated democracy. I feel that is an extremely impoverished approach, towards scaling that. Because, very simply put, why should any leader work any harder when he knows very well, 5 years down the line after you come in, you're going home?
Wakikaa chini wakisema huyu ndiyo kiongozi tunamhitaji, sisi kama chama cha Jubilee tutafata hiyo maneno ya wale wazee. We respect the wishes of the clan through their elected sultans.
It does not help to blindly vote along clan lines. And the development that we've done, the input that has been seen in the last 3 years in many parts of this county is changing the mindset of the common man.
Elders are still a respected lot among pastoralist communities that inhabit northeastern Kenya. In fact, during the election period, many politicians seeking national office will seek to be installed as elders of various communities in their quest to win the confidence of the voters. Patrick Amimo, KTN News.
This is KTN Prime here on KTN News. We continue with our Mashujaa Day coverage. Now, in December 1963, on the eve of independence, Kisoi Munyao scaled Mount Kenya and hoisted the Kenyan flag in honor of his country. The story of his contribution has been told to many generations, especially by his sons, Michael Kisoi Munyao, the current Member of Parliament from Mboni constituency, and Teddy Kisoi also scaled Mount Kenya with the Constitution in 2010. But tonight, KTN News reporter Dorcas Wangira tells the story through the eyes of his first widow, Francisca Kisoi Nduti. Take a look.
Ngumbao is a Kamba word that means a champion. On the midnight of the 12th December 1963, Kisoi Munyao, a mountaineer, wrote a very important chapter in Kenyan history. He scaled Mount Kenya, took down the Union Jack, and hoisted the country's independence flag on Batian, the highest peak. That was the beginning of the end of the colonial rule. So when the Union Jack went down and the symbolic tapestry of black, white, red and green went up in color, Kisoi had already done it. Many accounts say it was at the prompting at the time of Tom Boyer, but so many scraps of memory have put together Kisoi's narrative. Now, aged 81, Francisca Kisoi lends us hers.
I was the first wife. He went to climb the mountain with a white man, but the white man died there of the frostbite. He carried blankets with chicken feathers to protect him from the cold. When he was with the white man, he woke up and went up alone to hoist the flag while the white guys were asleep.
She speaks also of Robert Chambers and Dennis Rutovitz, who had accompanied Kisoi. Kisoi had spent the years of his youth climbing the Kisau Hills that surround a great part of Mboni Makueni. Mountain climbing can be equally dangerous. Was she afraid when he told her that what he was going to do?
He told me he had gone up the mountain to raise the flag. I didn't feel anything since it was something he did often. I was very happy when he came back because the mountain was very cold.
Kisoi solidified his place as a hero. He was whisked to attend the official independence celebration. Francisca, however, tells us a story of a different reception.
Kenyatta didn't give us seats at the main podium. The three of us, me, Kavata and Mzee, We sat on the ladders where we could see him.
Kisoi honored Kenya for free, for honor. But what was his country to do for him? He was awarded a medal by former President Daniel Moi. He lived a life laced with struggle till his death, caused by pneumonia, aged 73, on March 22, 2007 at the Kenyatta National Hospital. A mausoleum was constructed at his grave in his Kisau rural home in Boni East by the Kibaki administration. The mausoleum, which today is the property of the government and the National Museums, was officially opened by the former Vice President Mudi Awori as a sign of appreciation. A mausoleum just like one for the freedom fighter Paul Ngei in Machakos. Kenya's code of honoring its independence heroes is rather vague, more prominent in death rather than in life. There are accounts that Kisoi Mnyao Sr. declined a land offer from government circles because he was not greedy. His son, Teddy Mutuku, then aged 30 in 2010, retraced his father's steps, joining 27 Kenyans to leave behind the new constitution at Point Lenana ahead of its promulgation, the third highest peak of Mount Kenya. The trained mountain rescue officer also hoisted the Kenyan flag on the same mountain when Kenya turned 50 in 2013.
To the date of his death, he held this country dear to his heart and he praised Kenya every time in his life. I would like to see probably a museum, not a museum, a road or a statue erected somewhere in his honor. Like, for example, we have seen in Machakos.
We were never given anything by the government. Kisoi told me he was protecting Kenya's interest to be free from settlers.
And what remains for a younger generation is to conjure up another code of honor for its heroes and leave it cast elsewhere, not just in stone. Dorcas Wangira, KTN News, Makueni County.
Story of yet another Shujaa, Kisoi Mnyao. Let's take you to the county of Bungoma. After national government moved to ensure there is a national school in each of the 47 counties, some of the newly upgraded schools were hit with a high population of students, in some cases ballooning up to 200%. KTN News reporter Robert Wanyonyi now tells us the story of St. Joseph's High School in Trans Nzoia, whose facilities have now been stretched beyond the limit.
This is St. Joseph's High School in Trans Nzoia County. One of the newly established schools began 2 years ago as part of the government's program to have 2 national schools in every county. The school is the largest public secondary school, boasting of a student population of 2,150. However, the large number of students has exerted pressure on the static available facilities, earlier meant for only 850 students.
Why doesn't the government struggle so hard the way they're doing? We want to appreciate the efforts they're putting in. So that slowly by slowly, you know, we have this upcoming, the national schools that were upgraded, you know, move up to those particular levels. We're supposed to be the benchmark.
In spite of its impressive performance in national examinations, Obogo still feels the government has to intervene to ensure all national schools measure to the required standards.
You know, we are still going into the pit latrines. A national school. We get children from all kinds of backgrounds, and I want to say that this year we had some children who will not remain here.
The congestion is worse when you throw a glance at the dormitories. The young learners have also been subjected to take their lessons in all available open spaces, making it a big challenge for them to realize their dreams.
Ministry actually increase some, you know, facilities that can cater for all of us appropriately.
I'm only requesting the government of Kenya that we actually need more classrooms and more dormitories. This will also help us in decongesting the population that we have.
Despite the challenges, the school managed to post an impressive performance index of 11.0 in last year's KCSE examinations, with the teachers targeting to clock an ambitious index of 12.0 this year.
The congestion was worsened by the introduction of the national school,
because previously with the provincial school we were given 85% from the county.
If the government came in by giving finances, giving the school finance to build classes, to build like ICT center because it's a national school, to build even the dorms so as to relieve the congestion in those particular dorms.
Like today, I look at my Form 4s. I pass when they are revising, and I look at the heads, and I only see S.
And as Kenya's marked Mashujaa Day, the students and teachers of St. Joseph's High School, Kitale, opined that their school principal is their hero, having steered the school to greater heights of academic excellence.
And the kingmaker of all this is our principal, because I don't know, he was a bit privileged to come from a large family. And not just a large family where they were eating together.
Obogo's contributions to the country's education sector were recognized last year when he won the Principal of the Year award in the annual Heads Conference in Mombasa.
What motivates me is to see a child who would be a nothing becoming something.
In spite of the move by the government to put in place national schools in almost all counties in the country, the problem remains congestion in most of the schools, a matter that needs to be addressed. Robert Wanyonyi, KTN News in Trans Nzoia County.
Well, into Tusker team now. In athletics, former 1,500 meters athlete turned marathoner Daniel Kipchirchir's Komen is accusing his former financial advisor, who is now the Uasin Gishu County Speaker, Isaac Terer, of swindling him of his hard-earned millions worth of investments. Accusations the Speaker has rubbished. KTN's sports editor Hassan Juma has the details.
This is Daniel Kipchirchir Komen representing Kenya in 1,500 meters. He was one of the well-paid athletes then and decided to invest some of the track proceeds in Uasin Gishu County. For starters, things looked up.
Ilitokea mwaka wa 2008 ambaye niliweza kujaribu kufanya investment katika hii mji wa Uasin Gishu County.
However, what was expected to bring him fortunes has brought him miseries instead. He is now a bitter man and accusing the man who was earlier his manager and financial advisor, Isaac Terer. He says Isaac Terer misguided him and made him lose millions of shillings.
Terer akawa sasa siku yenye nilikuja kusaini agreement on 28 mwezi wa 4 akawa ameweka jina lake na yangu kama tumecontribute na yeye.
Jambo hili halingetosha kufika katika magazeti, na kwamba ni jambo ambalo tungelijadili na kusikizana. Kama hawakuwa ametosheka kwa njia yote, tungeweza kumaliza hayo mambo kwa njia ya kisheria.
Komen, who ran 1,500 meters until 2014, when he moved to marathon, says he can no longer venture into what he loves most, athletics, and feels that while other countries adore their sports ambassadors, things are different in Kenya.
Naomba kila mtu kwa waisane, kwa wakimbiaji wenzangu, ili tuweze kusaidiana, kwa sababu hii itakuwa jambo mbaya sana kama tunamalizwa moja moja alafu hautakuwa na mwenyewe wa kukimbilia.
The paper trail in our possession shows transactions that were made between the two in 2008 and only accuses Terer of being inaccessible. The Uasin Gishu Speaker, who is eyeing KSS parliamentary seat, has a different view.
So imekuwa ngumu kwangu kama mkimbiaji, imeniaffect psychologically. Siwezi nikatrain kwa sababu mbio kama umekuwa elite, ulikuwa umezoea kukimbia mahali kama Kaptagat, tunaenda kama Timboroa huko, mahali ukitafuta tayari altitude na low altitude. So imekuwa ngumu kwangu.
Si kwamba wakati kunatokea mambo ambayo madogo ambayo yanaweza zungumziwa, tunakimbia kwa mitandao ya kijamii, tunakimbia kwa vyumba vya habari kuiweka wazi. Aje tuweze kuongea, na nataka kukuambia kwamba tunaongea.
Hassan Juma.